Ohayou gozaimasu. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about why I wouldn't mind living in Japan. Now, I want to start this off by saying in America we have, I'm sure we have it other places, but I'm American. That's the only place I've ever lived, so that's the only thing I know. So I'm going to talk about America. And in America, we have a very strange mindset of a lot of people where it's like they get offended when people try to bring up problems we have in the country and we want to come together and fix it. They get real defensive and they're like, instead of like trying to solve it, they want to argue about the problems and all that good stuff instead of just trying to solve the problem so we can all have a better America. And I don't really like that. Like I said, I'm sure I'm sure those people exist everywhere. There are nationalists everywhere because patriotism is great, but nationalists is weird and it just makes things. It's hard to solve anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So. And yeah, when it comes to countries and moving, especially with Americans, it's like, I think what a lot of people need to understand is that everyone has different wants and needs, and every country is bad, but there's some bad things people are willing to deal with, and some things are deal breakers for certain people, you know what I'm saying? And it's just as simple as that, because every country has its issues, but there are a lot of places that have certain issues that America doesn't, right? And so it's just a matter of like if you're thinking about moving, it's just a matter of what things are you okay dealing with versus what are you not. And I think when it comes to America versus Japan, a lot of things that I hear about Japan that are flaws, I'm okay with. You know what I'm saying? And so that brings that plays a part into my idea because I'm going to be in Japan anyway because my entire degree is Japanese language and culture, K through 12 education. So I'm going to be teaching Japanese language and culture. So obviously they're going to ship me overseas so I can get some actual real life experience. Because there's one thing to do textbooks and videos and all this stuff, but you need to actually be there to get a full picture, right? So yeah, for my degree, I have to be there for a semester, which is 3 months, which is great. And I also plan anyway after college to go to a different private Japanese school in Japan, in Kyoto, for I think 9 months. So yeah, I'm gonna be over there anyway. And don't worry, that's gonna be the channel when I do go over there. But yeah, I always thought about living there for certain periods of time. Now I'm thinking if I do, I don't know. I don't think I would ever do full citizenship, just because, sadly we have to think about this, especially now. War is so aggressive right now, and it's so like iffy what wars will happen. And if there's a war, I would like to have an American passport so I can run back home and hide because we have a lot of nukes and stuff. We have a strong military. That's about it. That's the only reason I would not want to get Japanese citizenship, just because I want that fail safe to be able to come back to America in the case of war or any sort of conflict. Because Japan is strong, but it's a tiny little island, you know what I'm saying? And America's America. We've treated so many countries so bad for so long, so we have a lot of power because of that. We have a lot of stuff, we have a lot of power, we have a lot of, we got a lot going on because we took it from a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? So there's that. But, so yeah, I have a list here, and these are things that I think are positive, and we're just going to talk about some things that I like about Japan and why I think it would be, it wouldn't be horrible for me to live there for periods of time. You know what I'm saying? So, first of all, we have the food. Now, something consistent with America, especially when I'm talking to my immigrant friends, is that the food is horrible. And, some people are going to be offended by that, but it's true. And when I say horrible, I mean health-wise. Now, everywhere has its junk food, everywhere has its fast food, but America is special. It is really crazy, the type of stuff we got in our food. And, if you go to certain countries, the government's banned like half of the stuff that we put in our food. They banned those substances because they're not great for the body. And, for example, my friend from Kuwait, she came over here and gained like 10 pounds just from eating normally. And it's like, that, you might not understand, but all I can say is eat a mango in America and then go eat a mango in the Caribbean, or go eat a mango in the Middle East, or go eat a mango in Africa, in one of these African countries. And you'll see the difference just by that alone. So, yeah, it's just a difference in the mass production of certain things, and there's just not a focus on health in the wide scale. There's a focus on in America, there's a focus on monetary gain for companies versus the actual good products for their customers. And that's just it. Because that exists everywhere, but it's like everyone has like a certain amount of greed anyway, and then America has like an extra like 30% on top of that, company wise. And it sucks because, you have the cheapest food is the horrible food. And a lot of people need to save money because our economy is so horrible. Could be worse, obviously. 2009, 2000, all that good stuff. 1920s, 1930s, excuse me. But, um, but yeah, the cheapest food is the most horrible food, and the most expensive food is the healthiest food. And then if you eat the horrible food because you can't afford the good food, you end up having to pay hospital bills anyway because you ate horrible food. So it's just not a good deal. And they excuse me, they it's promoted to be unhealthy and to have unhealthy lifestyles, and it's really hard to be healthy in a certain extent. It'd be so much easier. And then when we go talking to Japan, obviously they have the same junk food we do, but first of all, much less much less stuff going in it because, like I said, a lot of places have the substances that we have in American food is banned in a lot of places because of its unhealthiness. But like just the culture itself in Japan, food wise, is much healthier. Even the fried foods are like, it's not that, it's not encouraged to eat fried foods every single day. It's not encouraged, to eat 5,000 calories, you know, in one sitting. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, the rice, noodles, fish, all these things are crazy popular in the diet, and they're all great. Even sushi. The only problem with sushi is you just gotta make sure they prepared it properly because you don't want to get worms. But, that's the only scariest thing about sushi. So I might not go to any sushi shops. I might just go straight to the grocery store and get pre-made sushi, just to be safe. But yeah, sushi. And like, for example, the 7-Elevens, because 7-Eleven is crazy popular over there, they have freaking onigiri, which is just a little triangle made of rice, and there's sometimes like sauce or tuna in the middle, and that's like a normal snack. What's normal snacks that we're eating over here? Cheetos, Takis, a quick pop. You know what I'm saying? It's just because, like I said, unhealthy is unhealthy everywhere. I'm not trying to like pretend like Japan is just perfect, magical, because I feel like that's what you see a lot on the internet with people who don't know anything and they're like delusional. They pretend like Japan's this perfect mythical place and this and that and the other, and it's not. It's just, what are the pros and cons, and what do you care about? And I think it has a pro in its food area, and I think just it has a great food culture with health. Now, one part about East Asia and a lot of places, but especially East Asia, is they have an obsession with skinniness, and that's not healthy. So please be healthy with your health, with your weight journeys, and if you want to lose weight or gain weight, just be healthy about it. Don't fall into the whole, oh yeah, you need to be this skinny to be pretty, because not only is most people not that naturally, that's also not healthy for like 99% of people. So please don't do that. Don't worry about that. Just be healthy and don't worry about your skinniness. Um, but yeah, and also I saw yakisoba in Agretsuko, that Netflix anime, and I want to try it so much just because it was funny. In the anime, all it is fried noodles. I could make it now, but I want to go get some yakisoba. Yakisoba! Anyway, so another thing am interested to be a part of is the subway, because subways exist everywhere, and they exist in, you know, America, but subways have a certain image: dirty, crackheads, homelessness, violence, unknown fluids all over the place. It's not. It's seen as a grimy thing you go to because you have to, and that's how you get around the cities. You know what I'm saying? Like New York, but it's also not as widespread either. Like New York is the only place I know that has like subways. Like we have trains, we have, little people movers, but like most usually it's New York and that area that has subways like regularly. But Japan, they have such a high standard for certain things. The train is always on time. Everyone takes the subway. Like it's a normal thing to subway around, and I think it'll be interesting to see. And don't worry, I will not be slow. I'll be a good foreigner, and I will shut the fuck up on the subway. I will not be up there having the loudest conversation possible. I will not be hitting the Naruto Sasuke like those dumbasses did. We will not be having no Logan Paul videos. We will be a normal person and just go and enjoy our time and respect their culture. Um, but yeah, so that subway will be nice, and it'll be nice to see well kept, well organized, respectful system. And that's kind of brings us to the next point, culture. It's good and bad. It's great for me as a foreigner, bad for the people who live there, that they have such a strict work culture and such a strict thing about image and being, respected with what they put out. And like I said, it's great for me because I get to have all these great things because, in America, there's a lot of stuff where they just don't really give a shit and they just throw things at you like, here, this is the product, take it, because you have to take it and there's no other options, or you don't have money for a better option. But in Japan, there's a certain prestige that they have amongst themselves where they hold themselves to a higher standard. And like, while it's great for me, I get to have all these nice products and nice customer service for the first time, and like everywhere is great for the most part. When we're talking about high-end companies, but then you flip the switch and look at the workers who have to endure that situation. It's horrible as hell. It is horrible. There's a reason Japan's suicide rate is so high. So, like I said, that's one of the negatives, but that's more so for people born and raised there than it is for a foreigner moving there. Because I didn't have to grow up in that culture. Not to mention, I'm not going to be a part of the workforce. Fuck that. If I'm working, it's going to be, I'm not being no office worker. I ain't being no this, no that. If I'm going there, it's going to be an English teacher, which is like a whole thing in Japan. We can talk about that in a second. But I'm going to be a good English teacher or a translator or just some random low-end job like sweeping or doing dishes at a restaurant, that type of thing. Because I'm still going to do YouTube, and hopefully that will make me some money. And then also, I don't know. The point is I'm not going to be part of the workforce because that's not good mentally, especially when you're coming from such a lax position in America versus Japan, where they are treating you like military and you need to be on your P's and Q's. Like I mentioned, Agretzko, that Netflix show. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch that show and you'll get it. And that's just part of it. So there's that. And I said I was going to talk about English. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about English teachers. They have a horrible reputation in Japan because a lot of people. That's the easiest way to get a visa in Japan is to teach English because you're having a work visa and that's the easiest job to obtain. Yeah, that's easy. Sorry, I'm trying to think. That's the easiest job to obtain as an American foreigner wanting to move to Japan with a work visa. That's the easiest job you can pick to get into. And then what comes of that is you have a bunch of people who don't actually give a shit about teaching. They're just using that to get to Japan. And you have a bunch of lazy, not really trying, not qualified teachers. And so that has created a bad rap for Americans coming to Japan to teach English because it's just been a system that's been abused versus people who actually want to be good teachers. Now, me, on the other hand, my entire degree is teaching Japanese, so obviously I'll be okay teaching English to Japanese people. So there you go. I will change their minds about how horrible it is. I'll be one of the good ones, I swear. So yeah, that'll be fun, and I feel like I'll just have a great time. I'm also gonna be. If I have a choice, I would like to live in Kyoto. I'm not going to Tokyo. Hell no. If I'm going to Tokyo, it's for a trip. I don't want to live there. It's New York, but like just more Asian and less guns. That's about it. Cause like you got your homeless all over the streets. You got your well, if you're in Tokyo, they're a little more strict because they want it to look nice for the tourists. But they got their hood because it's the main cities, and you know what I'm trying to say. You get it. What I'm trying to explain horribly, but I would like to be in Kyoto, the countryside, and it'll be interesting because I'm probably gonna be the only black people a lot of those kids have ever seen, because there's one thing about America and Canada and the UK are special because most of the world is very homogenous, where countries are made of one or two ethnic groups and that's about it. The rest of the ethnic groups make up like 1%. Genuinely, most of the world is like that. The US and the UK and Canada are really the only places that are that aggressively diverse, where it's like 50% this group, 20% this group, 10% this group, 10%. Like those are big numbers that don't really exist in other places. Not like that, and not to that many, and not that many different cultures, right? So, so Japan is 99% Japanese and like 0.01% black. So there's plenty of kids who have never seen a black person in real life or on TV. Or if you go to like a little bit older kids, have seen them on TV, rap songs, all this good stuff. So it'll be great to be able to introduce them to people and show them, show them that black people exist and that I'm not made of chocolate. It's a common thing for with Japanese kids for some reason. Oh, chocolates. It's like no. But I get why they would think that, because like how else could a child's brain comprehend black skin if you've never seen it? Like I can imagine how much of a mind fuck that is. So we're like, what? Me personally, I would be scared because I would be like, oh God, are you sick? But just like the black people, the first black people to see a white person were probably so concerned, like, oh my God, are you anemic? Where's all your color? So it's just funny like that, and with Japan, I will feel so much more comfortable because racism exists everywhere. It doesn't matter, but a lot of but people like to give them too many excuses when it comes to racism. They're like, well, they don't know any better. Like, we're talking about grown adults here. We don't need to give a million excuses. They have the same internet we do. They have the same working brains we do. Culture or not, they understand racism is racism. But some of them, like especially with the younger kids or people like on the countryside, a lot of it is just like ignorance. Like I said, when you're in a country that's 99% one race, you don't have much of a vision of other things existing. You don't really understand. So, and also in certain parts of Japan, there's a lot of Nigerian immigrants, and a lot of them do a lot of crime, so that is not fun. So they see that, be like, oh God, this, that, and the other, but they'll hear my American accent, and you know what I'm saying. But it's just I would much rather be in the midst of ignorance versus like knowingly hatefulness, if that makes sense. I'd rather be in the midst of ignorance. I really would like that. Now, we got racists everywhere. Don't get it twisted, y'all. If you're black and thinking about moving to Japan, don't get it twisted. Racism everywhere. It's just I just think you'll encounter much more ignorance than you'll encounter actual racism. And that's just a part of it. And there's also like cautiousness with you being a foreigner in general, not even just black, a foreigner in general, because of the bad reputation, especially Americans have in Japan. And that's screwed up because a lot of us are just people who just want to come see Japan because it's pretty cool. But all these people want to be stupid, and now all the police got high alert whenever they see an immigrant. You know what I'm saying? Or they're just gonna eventually. I just want y'all to know they're just gonna straight up ban tourists after a while. So please stop. Please stop. I really don't want to have to live there to be able to visit. So just like chill out, please, please, chill out. But yeah, that's, the culture is very interesting. Like I said, my main problem with the culture is the workforce, which is, everyone knows that's horrible, horrible, horrible. And like maybe the weight loss, but I feel like it's more of a problem in China than it is in Japan. I think it's much more of a problem in China. The fat phobia, whatever you want to call it. But sorry, my thing is shut off. But yeah, it's really just the work culture, fat phobia culture, and like that's really it. Because even like certain cons that people have, for example, I've heard cons of it's too strict with the laws, and it's like definitely if you look between Japan and America, Japan has way more laws. For example, weed is treated like cocaine over there. It is not cool at all. But the thing is with that, I'm not doing anything where I need lax rules. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a gun enthusiast. I'm not a weed enthusiast. I really just mind my business and go to work and go to school and play video games. So like, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. I don't need the lax rules of America because I don't, it's only a concern for people who do certain things, is what I'm going to say. And, that's not, to hate on weed smokers or gun enthusiasts, but I'm just saying that's not me, so I don't have a problem with those rules. I don't have a problem with, how strict the, everything is on a schedule. You have to be on your P's and Q's. I don't mind. I feel like a lot of the rules are for the betterment of society. You know what I'm saying? They don't have school shootings there. They don't have as much drug abuse and overdoses. They do have a huge drinking thing because drinking is, for some reason, in a lot of cultures, American too, it's just like normal to just drink poison and like have a good time. So it's like it's funny, but I wish it wasn't as laxed. Not rule wise, but as culture. I think you should be allowed to drink because it's one of the least bad things. But I don't think it should be as popular in culture. You know what I'm saying? I think it should be much more on the rare occasion side, just because it is so unhealthy for you to drink. But that's just me. Um, but yeah, basically with all the strict rules, they just don't. A lot of the rules that people are concerned about don't apply to me, and I have no problem with rules because a lot of the rules they have are for the betterment of society. I don't think there's like America when I see rules, a lot of them just seem anti-poor people. You know what I'm saying? Or they're just like it's like rules that are to hurt the working class and this and that and the other versus like actually the betterment of society. Obviously, we have certain things, but we still have like 10 school shootings like every couple months. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? So, and our politicians can't make up their minds. You know, are you really sad about school shootings? Are you gonna make anything about school shootings? Is it a natural way of life and there's nothing we can do? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just don't want to deal with that. And then in Japan, if the worst I gotta deal with is that weed is illegal, I don't smoke anyway. So if it sounds good to me, I'm okay with that. But, um, but you know, I think I will be okay. You know, because that's the main thing I've seen people say is that they don't like all the rules, and that's fair. No, there's definitely a lot of rules, but that's also why the society, you know, in some places, because I want to make sure I'm not. When people understand, I'm not trying to homogenize the whole thing and pretend like it's all one thing, because it's a country. Just like every other country, it has this thing, this thing, this thing. Every city's different. Every prefecture's different. You know, so I get that every state's different, but these are just general like things that are true about certain instances of Japan. And I think, you know, with all the rules that they have, I think the rules are actually for the betterment of society. You know, it's that thing where it's like you have all these rules and then everything's great, but no one has any freedom, or do you have no rules and free will, but people do horrible things all the time? You know what I'm saying? That's the problem with life. You give them free will because you want them to be, you know, their own people, but then they also do horrible things with that free will. So you have to measure how much free will do you want, you know, to protect your safety. And I think Japan has the perfect balance of they have a lot of rules, but it doesn't feel like it's suffocating. It feels like it's just safer. You know what I'm saying? Because you have your horribleness everywhere, but I'd rather deal with the horribleness of Japan versus the horribleness of America in a lot of instances. I will say America's great with that EBT and that SNAP and all that good stuff and FAFSA. I will say that's great. And also, it's the least they can do after like all this stuff. There's a reason people need EBT. It's not just because poor people suck and they just want to sit on their butt and do nothing all day. Some of them do, but that's not, you know, a lot of people are poor because they were made poor by certain 400-year things. But anyway, next up, we're going to talk about historic districts. Very simple. I just want to go to the historic districts. It's very nice. You know, Japan has a very troubled history because they are so bad in like history. Like if you stay in Japan and look at their history, it's so interesting and fun, and see all the different dynasties. Not dynasties, that's China. I don't know if Japan goes by dynasties too, but either way, you know what I'm talking about, the dynasties, the different emperors, the different eras. You know, it's very fun and interesting to see the clothes, the art, the food change, the language change. But then if you go outside of Japan and you look at Japan, they are dickheads. We're tearing the fucking East Asia up. Don't go to no Korean person talk about Japan. Do not. Don't go to no Chinese person talk about Japan. Don't go to no Filipino person. No. Japan is the bad guy in a lot of these situations. And the worst part is their schools don't teach it at all. So a lot of people like age 19 and younger don't even know. So that's the fucked up part. So it's one thing about America. That's one half point to America. We actually teach our kids about the bad stuff that we did. I say half point because obviously they're not going to go full in depth with a bunch of 5-year-olds, but like high school, they could go much deeper than they do. They not even the people, you know, it's the institutions. The teachers just teach whatever curriculum they were given. They have to do that. But the people who make the curriculums and the wider government as a whole, they downplay a lot of things that America done, or they don't widely teach a lot of things that America has done to the public. Like slavery was not just, oh yeah, they were chained and that's it. It was way bigger and way more heinous and evil than that. You know, our camps that we had of Japanese people and Native Americans, that was not just like, oh yeah, they were trapped and we treat them bad. Like horrible stuff. But like I said, you know, it's just a whole thing where you just need to be honest, and Japan is not honest at all. They want to push it down, which is horrible. You should never, your nation should not be doing these horrible things and then push it down like it never happened. Because there's generations of Korean people who will not forget those things. Don't you know, like that's disrespectful to the Korean immigrants in Japan who are dealing with discrimination to this day. You know, even though like you're both East Asian, there's not that much difference between the two of you. One little ocean, that's about it. And not even a whole ocean. It's like a gulf. So it's crazy to me. It's you know, it's like I personally think it's ridiculous. But that's just I don't think I'm going to take it upon myself to single-handedly change Japan's entire curriculum to teach about their history. So that's just something I think is a negative. But for me, the historic districts, on the other hand, are pretty nice. You know, like I said, I still think Japan needs to acknowledge its history a little bit. But if we're just looking like in Japan from a Japanese person's view, the historic districts are so fun and nice, and I would love to be there for them and just to experience them. I definitely, like I said, that's why I want to go to Kyoto, because I want to go to a cultural area. I don't really care about Tokyo and going to see all the bright lights and stuff. Like I said, I'll go there for a vacation. I'll go there for like a couple days at a hotel or something, but I definitely do not want to. I'm definitely not interested in living that big city life. Not at all. Not living it. Maybe like, you know, like I said, chilling there, that'd be nice, but not living it. Not in a big city. A normal city, sure. I don't want 17 million people in the street with me. That just seems like too much going on. You know what I'm saying? So I'll definitely live. And then, ooh, excuse me, my camera shuts off after like 25 minutes and then turns right back on, just to make it easier for it to save. But either way, I just don't. I don't really care for I don't care for Tokyo. So yeah, and then the next thing is the family dynamic. I feel like I will enjoy an East Asian family very much. But what I mean by that, that's a weird sentence. When I go over there, I'm gonna have a host family, and I think like, because you know there's cultures, because everyone can be their own person. You don't have to adhere to a culture, but cultures like make you a certain way usually, and they try to fit you into a certain mold, and it kind of shapes your brain based upon what culture you're a part of, right? Bases your opinions, all that good stuff. And Japanese culture is very family oriented, just like a lot of places, but it's also like more, I don't know how to explain it. They have a higher standard of each other, which, you know, can be stressful, but also pushes you to be better. You know what I'm saying? And I think I will enjoy that. I think I'll just enjoy the culture. That's just another part of the culture, the family life. You know, in America, we have a very huge problem in the black community where our families are broken, or they're riddled with this problem and that problem. And it's just like, there's a lot of just, that's a big downfall that we're having right now, is that our families are broken apart. And and that's like a negative for the entire community. Even if not everyone's having that problem, it brings down the whole community, because we have a lot of generations of kids who are just mentorless and just lost, and they have no guidance. So, but yeah, I think that'll be an interesting thing to experience, and it'll be also great to have someone who knows the culture, who's been there the whole life, to be able to fall back on and go to it for advice and help, and just that family, closeness and all that, because they would have been there the whole life, so they will know exactly what is good, what is bad, all that good stuff. And then another point is safety. Obviously, like I said, it's very, very safe in comparison to certain places that we shall not name. But, once again, you have to think critically about these things. Well, you don't have to. I just think you should, because God gave you a brain for a reason. But, I like to think critically and not just, oh yeah, I'm gonna go over there and it's gonna be perfect. No. But like I said, once again, pros and cons. What are you willing to deal with? What things are you looking for in your home? And I think the safety is much better, because guns are illegal. You do not have a gun unless you're a police officer or a government official. And I feel much more safer with that in Japan than I do with America. Police brutality is police brutality, but I feel much safer with a Japanese cop than I do with an American cop, regardless of anything. Because, like, we all know the whole situation with American cops, but like, even if 70% of them are good cops, the whole institution is the problem, and the fact that they protect so many bad cops and they're willing to hide this to help their certain office look good, and they hide this, and I'll hide this evidence for you, I'll do this. It's just a whole thing. Like I said, corrupt cops exist everywhere, but America's special in the way it does it, and I don't really want to get into the whole thing. You can look up one of a million videos just talking about American history with the cops. FD Salinger's a good YouTuber for that, but yeah, so I would rather deal with their craziness in Japan than the craziness in America. And Japan, there is not much gun violence at all because, like I said, only cops have it, and I feel much safer. Because, like, if that was the case in America, fuck that, I'm shipping out right then. As soon as they pass that bill that nobody can have guns except for cops, I'm sure. First of all, 60% of the country would say fuck you, and you would have to kill them to take their guns away. And then secondly, like, nobody would go for that. Nobody at all. But no, some certain parties might have a great idea. We're like, what if we take all the guns from black people? let me shut the fuck up. But either way. But yeah, and like I said, I think normally I'd be like, that's a horrible idea. But I just trust Japan's integrity a little bit more than that, at least in the current day. Like I said, they still have that whole thing where they hide their history of the country, but in current day I feel like they have a little more integrity. Oh. Because yeah, you had a situation where ex-prime minister was assassinated with a guy with a homemade gun. It was like, wow, that's crazy. He really did not like that man to homemade a gun. And, that's horrible, but I don't want to downplay someone lost their life, but at the same time, one singular person got killed with a gun in how many years? 20? Someone had to homemade a gun to kill somebody. I feel safe there, you know what I'm saying? It's like that's still a horrible situation. Like I said, I don't want to downplay it. Somebody lost their life, but one person versus like 1,600 in like a year, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think one is very clearly safer than the other, even if it's not. There's no such thing as 100% safe without taking away everyone's free will. And that's what people are forgetting. You still have free will. You just can't carry guns and you can't smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? There's a much more rules than that, but that's the two biggest ones that I think Americans would have a hard time with. And that's the important thing with me, is that it's not just you can't have a gun. Everyone can't have a gun. Only police officers and government officials, and that's it. So that's the thing. It's like you're not going to go on the street and see somebody with a gun unless they illegally smoked it in and they're like Yakuza or something. Literally 90% of people are not going to have access to guns, so you're okay. That'll be my only problem if I was the only one without a gun and everyone else had guns, but that's not the case. You're safe. Go about your business. And yeah, you can't even really carry around knives because knives are the main problem when you can't have guns around. I'm pretty sure the UK is like that too. You can't just have a gun on you. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, America's really just the gun country. But I get it. I just wish, it just sucks because it just opens up so many opportunities to kill really easily because it's just a button. But I digress. I feel like Japan's much safer in a lot of ways to America, and it's safe in a way that I require. A lot of people say they feel safe walking home at night in Japan. And I would too, but I will still keep my head on the swivel because it's still nighttime walking. And like I said, if a man comes up behind you and grabs you, it's going to be a hard time out-strengthening him, a grown-ass man. So you have to just be aware and just be prepared. And I'm pretty sure you can have no knives on you, which sucks because, in my state, Michigan, you can have at least a 3-inch pocket knife on you. But look, well, we will see what I need to do for self-defense wise, because like I said, I'll see when I get there. But I don't need a weapon because Japan's culture is so specific. It's not gonna be like I long story short, I feel like I'll be okay for the most part. And then another one is community and discipline. They have, if you look at a lot of places, there's almost no trash on the floor in certain cities. Like you go across, you see like no trash. Like I said, the trains are on time. You know, like the packaging is perfect, perfect, perfect. The quality of your food is perfect, perfect, perfect. If you're going to any company or store, because they have such a specific culture about perfection and high quality and standards. Like I said, at the detriment of the employee, sadly, but you're gonna get good products out of it. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it's like I think they go too far with it a lot, but they have the right idea where you need to have community and discipline to have a better society for everyone. That's one thing about America. A lot of things are really shitty because people just don't care, and nothing upholds that. You know, if the people don't care, if the government don't care, the people aren't gonna care, and if the people don't care, the government's not gonna care, and back and forth, back and forth. But when Japan, there's a culture of discipline and standards, and they hold that. Of course, you have the problems where like you have the bins are overfilled, just sitting there with piles of trash right next to it because you don't put trash on the floor, you bring it to the bin, and you might have piles of trash by the bin because they didn't change it yet. But like, I'd really rather that than just see a million different bags all over the highway and this and that and the other. Because like, it's not just like they don't like it and they don't do it. It's a culture thing that's wrong in the culture, and it's wrong in the culture in America too. But like, nobody cares enough to like stop it in terms of like people do it all the time anyway. Cause sure, I'll say I don't like littering. You'll say you don't like littering, and yet we got 50 people standing right over there who littered in the last 5 minutes. So it's a whole thing. I'm also martial arts. Oh Lord. Oh wait, no wait. Actually, first let me go back to community and discipline. The community and just like the thoughtfulness is so amazing, and this is the thing with a lot of countries. In our league, you have like the top countries or whatever you want to call it, but you get it. Like Sweden, like all of that part of Europe with Sweden and Switzerland and all that good stuff, and something with F. Finland. That's what I say. There's something with F. I can't remember it. Finland. Then you have America. You got the UK. And you got Japan and China. Certain parts of China. China is so huge. It's such a discrepancy between this place and this place. It's so big. But yeah, China, mainland China, Korea, certain places of India. Basically, I'm just saying like all the countries that have their stuff together and are like up there in their technology and ingenuity. Japan is one of the most thoughtful ones. A lot of places are more thoughtful than America. Like I said, America's number one thing is money. That's why the country has so much crap. Just because a lot of the countries don't. A lot of the companies just don't give a single shit about anything other than money. But I digress. Japan just has a lot of thoughtfulness in the creation of a lot of its companies, its products, just the way its society is ran. Like the trains all have pregnant seating and handicap seating. You're like, that's not special. They all do. And it's true, but it's just like I feel like Japan goes extra steps sometimes. Because look, I can't downplay America too much. We have a lot of great shit over here. We have a lot of great things. I'm so grateful for our public bus transport. I think it's ran very well and I love it so much, our public buses. But yeah, I just think Japan is just really put together, and they think through everything and how can we make this better for society as a whole, and not just how can I line my pockets better. But yeah, there's that. And then martial arts, like I was saying, I think it'd just be nice. It's karate is cool. There's nothing wrong with it, but also at the same time, it's just like I already started taekwondo, and like people aren't gonna like what I'm about to say, but they're not that different. It's really not. You have different forms, pumsai and kata, respectively. You call the strikes different names, but if you look at them, they're not that different. The only difference is taekwondo has a few more complicated tricks with your kicks as you get higher in your levels, but besides that, they're not that different. Like white belt through fucking green belt is not that different. Like all the stuff you learn. So, you might have certain strikes and shit that you do in karate, all that shit, all that weird, you know what I'm saying? Hit you with the point of my fingernail and shit, but they're not that different at all, genuinely, as I look at both. Like, obviously, you get down to the nitty gritty, they have these specific instances that are different. They have these tiny differences, but they're not that different, taekwondo and karate. So, And also, if I had to pick, I would rather do kung fu versus both of them, just because kung fu is so awesome. But like I already talked about in the previous video, any martial art is great, like any, and they all have different things that make them unique, and they're all good for fighting if you choose to make them. They're all good for just experiencing. But I think I'll just enjoy Japan or Korea. But I'm going to Japan, so we're going to talk about Japan. I'll enjoy going to Japan and going to an actual master because, like I said, I think the discipline and community and the culture is so much more serious that I feel like I'll be able to be better if I go to a dojo over there. Because first of all, it's much less likely it's going to be a McDojo like we got in America. It's much less likely that that's going to happen because it's their own culture. They're going to be much more serious about it. And I just think it'd be great to go to the source. There's always that funny thing where you're like a martial arts trainer, not a trainer, a trainee, and you're like, I want to go somewhere where they have an Asian sensei. Because like you don't have to be Asian to be good at the thing, but there's like a weird brain thing where it's like if you see that the sensei is Asian, then you're gonna trust it a little bit more that he's gonna be a good sensei, which is it's funny. I've seen that around, but you know, sensei's a sensei, black belt's a black belt. Usually because you do have the McDojos all over America with the 5-year-old black belts or the black belts who can't even break a single board with a chop. I saw that video where like 10 black belts could not break that board. Like I've never broken that board either, but I'm not a black belt, so it's like anyway. But yeah, I think I'll think it'll just be fun to go to that, to just go over there and experience a dojo from the source. I'll be excited to see the differences. And also, it'll be great to learn Japanese because I'll have to learn it quick so they stop yelling at me in Japanese. Like, Hajime! Hajime! And then also, I would like the countryside and the simple life. You can countryside simple life anywhere. And it's all a mental thing. It's all a personal thing. What do you want? And I would like the Japanese countryside and simple life. And why not America simple life, you may say? Why not American countryside? Racism. KKK. That's literally it. Racism, KKK. I don't want to deal with that. You'd be like, it's rare. It's not everywhere. It's not rare enough. No. I choose safety. Like I said, if I'm going to the countryside in Japan, I'll have to deal with more ignorance than straight up racism. Generally, it'll just be more ignorance because they probably never seen a black person in their whole life. And that's not even like exaggerative. It's really just literally 0.01% of the population is black. So, but yeah, and I just, I think with my life, I've had so many ups and downs, moved around so much complicated stuff just going on, where it'd be nice to just find some place to just settle my ass down, have like a nice little town of like 100 people, and just go about my business and go about my day. I think that'll be lovely. So yeah, I think it'll just be nice. And like I said, Japan's culture specifically and their government and all that good stuff, I just would not mind none of that stuff. So I think that's why I would not mind going there specific. That's why, because I can get a lot of things I'm saying from anywhere, but it's just Japan specifically. I like their stuff that they got going on, and so these are just the compliments of their stuff. And then also, this one's kind of funny. Politics are much easier when you're a foreigner, and it's so true because I don't give a shit about a lot of the stuff that's going on. I don't have to. I feel like it's a lot less stakes and it's a lot less personal and hurtful when it's a country that you're moving to. And then also when it's a country like Japan where it's 99% Japanese anyway, so you're expecting to be excluded, you're expecting to not really be paid attention to much. Versus America where, there's 30 million black people, and yet there's still like at every turn trying to fight us for existing and being mad that we exist, and like it's just a lot of stress and just not fairness and hatefulness towards your community, and there's nothing you can do because you could blink and they would still find something horrible. And then you have all the non-racists and then the racists, and they're going back and forth and yada yada yada. Or you got the weird non-racists who are secretly racist, and they're just like, it's so complicated and so frustrating to just be in the middle of all this when you're just trying to live your life, but people won't shut the fuck up. So it's like, that's why I would just, if I move to Japan, I'm a foreigner, but everyone else is the same type of foreigner. There's no special breed of foreigner because you're black, like it would be in America. It's the same thing, black or white or Chinese. Like you're an immigrant. You're all Asian. That's it. And so, I think it would just be a lot easier. because I don't have stakes in it anymore if I'm a foreigner. The only thing I got to worry about is a foreign policy, and that's about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what do they do with the people on the visas and the foreign policy? That's about it. Like I don't have to. There's not as much of a personal emotional stake in the politics. I will just be there, and the great thing is about immigrating is that you chose to be there. That's like funny thing. People be talking about America like all these people chose to come here. It's like I'm happy for them. But that's the thing, they chose to come here, so obviously they like it here. Not everyone likes certain things. You know, we are a great, great country, but we just got so much shit, so much shit, and it's just not fun mentally. No, like you can only deal with so much mentally, so much just stupid infighting and this and that and the other. It's like you just don't want to deal with it after a certain point. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, that's that. And you know, with America and me, it's a certain type of hurt because I know why a lot of people are here. Black people, like we didn't just come and then fuck everything up. We were taken and brought here by force, and then forced to do crazy shit, treated inhumanly, eaten, fed to alligators, tortured, burned, a whole bunch of horrible things. Half the people didn't even make it on the trip over here because it was such horrible living conditions, and uh, and then when you get to modern day, a lot of people act like that would have no effect on the communities, affected by it. The community that it happened to, they act like it has no effect, and it's just crazy. And then when they look at you, now you're victimizing yourself. When it's like, no, you're an actual victim of horrible things. Even if it didn't happen to you, it affects you in the modern day in a certain way. And it's just really annoying because half the people don't care. Another third don't even know because maybe they live in an all white town, so why would they know certain things, or why would they care about certain things, or why would they know certain social aspects? So it's a lot of stupidness, and it's a lot of pain to like be in a country that is great, but also you just have a deep hatred and sadness deep down for like certain parts of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I will never be 100% patriotic, never. I'm like maybe 70, and that's about it. I might go up to 80, but no, I would never be 100% just from the simple history and the way that history was dealt with after the fact. But either way, next thing, opportunities. There's be plenty of opportunities for me. Like I said, I don't really want to join the workforce, but here's some opportunities I think I could do where it'll be fun because Japan is Japan. You know, I'll be a foreigner in a foreign land, and it'll be, you know, like I said, it's just different. So these are a couple job opportunities, not normal jobs, but like fancy jobs I could do. I could do voice acting, for example. There's a big community of voice actors, you know, English voice actors in Japan because, you know, in Japanese shows and movies and games, there's a lot of English parts, especially because they want to sell to America. You know, a lot of Nintendo is all Japan, but they have a lot of English voice actors because they gotta, you know, they're smart with a lot of their games because a lot of the games don't have actual dialogue. That way they don't have to hire a bunch of voice actors, but some of them do. And I could do that. So yeah, I could do English voice acting. I could also model because there's a big, what do you call it? There's a good market for modeling in a lot of these East Asian countries, especially as a black person. Not even especially, but like as a black person as well, I'd rather say. Like they're not over there looking for black people. Like, ooh, I need a black person. Like not really, because first of all, there's barely any black people in the country as it is. But there's opportunities for modeling and for black people as well. And I think it'll be interesting to be like a black person on the billboard. You know, just these are just options. And in sports, obviously, whatever sports teams they have, martial arts, like I was saying, translation, easy job. If I know Japanese and English, translator. That's something I feel like a lot of immigrant children are neglecting. Is the fact that if your parents taught you their native language, you need to take advantage of that. If you're in life and you don't know what to do for a job, take advantage of that and go be a translator. It's great money, and you won't even have to try because you know both languages naturally. If you are blessed enough to have your parents teach you your language. For some reason, a lot of parents are not teaching their language anymore, and I don't really get that. Like, why wouldn't you want to keep your culture alive to your kids? But that's just me. I don't know. And then, I wouldn't mind living in Japan because it would be great to bring new cultures to the people. Because like I said earlier, a lot of these places, like in the countryside, have never seen a black person before. They don't know anything about black people. They don't know anything about this culture, that culture. They are just in their little bubble, and that is it. And that's like a big chunk of the country because, like I said, it is 99% Japanese. It is a very homogenous country. So, it'll just be interesting to share my own knowledge and then learn their knowledge, because there is certain things where it's just like it's annoying, and you have to deal with this in America too, which is why it's so frustrating. But it's like there's this weird patronizing, patronism, and it's weird, just like you're not a person, you're a toy, you're a commodity, you're like this cool like exotic animal instead of just a person. And that's very annoying. Like I've seen videos, people, you'll go in Tokyo and people just see you as a black person, like, oh yeah, rapper. It's like, what? Can you just like say hi and leave me alone? Why are we talking about rapping? And it's really stupid because, like I said, I've dealt with that same thing in America, where there's 30 million black people, and black people have made up like half of the actual pop culture. You don't get credit for it, but black communities has made like half, more than half, like 80% of the pop culture has been created or correlated by some black person somewhere. Like 3/4 of all of our music genres were invented by black Americans. So it's just like, it's interesting how patronized and like us versus them it is when it comes to black Americans. But and then that translates, because our own place is like that. That spreads across the world because the Western life has such a impact on everywhere else. So everywhere is racist towards black people, whether they know black Americans or not. Everyone knows that the stereotype. Everyone knows the stereotype of the rapper, the stereotype of the thug, the stereotype of this, that, the other, the baby mama. So it's just like, you know what I'm saying? And then you go to these other places, like, it has nothing to do with me. I'm just a person who happens to be black. I don't need to have all these stereotypes thrown at me before I even said anything. I don't need to walk up to someone, the first thing they say is, "Oh, you gonna rap for me?" It's like I really don't need that. You know what I'm saying? It's just frustrating. I would like to just exist as a person and not as a image of something that has nothing to do with me. Like, you can just you can just, ooh, I got a crack in my back. Ugh. Yeah, you can just, be normal, basically. Be a normal person, talking like you would any other Japanese person. I might not be Japanese, but that's the point. Like, we're all in Japan, just talk to you like you would anyone else. Maybe talk slower, because Japanese people talk way too fucking fast. They have that same problem that Spanish has, where it's like there's much more minutes per second, and all the sentences are much longer, so it just feels so quick. It's like, what? What did you just say? So I know for sure I have to learn how to say, can you talk slow? I am stupid. I got watashi wa baka desu. I just need how to say, can you talk slower, please? I just gotta remember. I gotta memorize that phrase. I'm gonna have to say it to everyone I fucking meet, because I swear them people be talking way too fast. And they're talking normal, it's just too fast for me. But yeah, I just don't want to. It'll be good to bring cultures to Japan so they can be less ignorant, and it'll be more comfortable for black people to come and chill. But like I said, that's the thing. Even if it's annoying and frustrating, because like I said, I feel like people give too much slack to Japan sometimes for like the racism. Like, well, they don't know any better. It's like, we're talking about grown adults. They're not coming up to you and being like, "Hey, what's up, bro? Let's rap." They're not gonna come up to a white person and say that. So they're grown adults. They shouldn't patronize like that, no matter what you say. They're not slow. We're talking about grown adults here. But at the same time, I do think a lot of it is just ignorance of other people and other cultures. So it'll just be great to be there and give them an image. Yeah, because no matter what you say, no matter what this, that, the other, they don't know any better. We're talking about grown adults here. They also have access to the internet and there, so they can see certain things and they can learn certain things and they can know what's acceptable, what's not, whatever. And then also just be nice to get away from it all. Like I said, I have a lot of stuff that has happened in my life. It'd be nice to just kind of separate and just go off into the fucking countryside and chill with my fucking monkey. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Long story short, in about 20 years, when I have 2 cats, Ace and Leela. In about 20 years when they die, I decided I wanted a little capuchin monkey. Don't ask, it's weird, but I want it because it's cute and stupid. And don't worry, I'm not going to be one of those crazy people who get things because they're cute and don't take care of it. I've looked into it thoroughly. And my rules for pets is 1, I'll never get one I can't take care of. And 2, I'll never get one that I can't overtake physically. And you'd be like, why do you need to do that? Because it's a wild ass animal. And I cannot have some kid getting its face ripped off because I can't control my animal. I do not understand why these people get these giant ass 500-pound pit bulls or these 25 million pound Dobermans and these 6 German Shepherds. Because the thing is, if something tips them off and they go savage mode and you can't stop them, you're still at fault. And regardless of legal fault, morally, that's horrible. You do not want your German Shepherd to go rip a kid apart because he heard a sound that he didn't like. And you might be like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, animals, especially dogs, and wild animals, you don't know what their trigger is. You might be like, oh, my dog doesn't bite. It's an animal. Something will make it bite. Even if it's really, really well trained, there's always something that can happen. And that's something you have to have in the back of your brain at all times. If I get a dog, I'm getting a mini lap dog. I'm not getting a big dog just because I don't want that. I don't want something to happen and it gets tipped off and I can't hold him back and someone gets hurt. So yeah, I'm getting a monkey that gets no bigger than this. He will sit on my shoulder. And if I need to, I'll grab his ass by the fucking back and hold his ass down. Grab him by the tail. Like this, but like I said, these are only in worst case scenarios where he's attacking someone and that's about it. Because we don't do animal abuse in this household, but we also are responsible pet owners. You decided to have a wild animal in your house, you are responsible for everything it does. But yeah, anyway, I'll be in the countryside with my little fucking monkey if they allow. I don't know the rules about pets with monkeys. If they allow, I will have my little pet monkey. I'll be on the countryside doing my little thing, and I will be chilling. Like, American politics is so fucking shit and all over the place. Like, it's really shit. America's going downhill so quickly. Like, pew. And supposedly the next era of America is going to be making it great again. We'll see. I have no hope, but we'll see. Of course, my first year in college, 2024, 2025, of course, this is when everything wants to go down, but it's all right. Excuse me. But yeah, I think I'll just have fun in the long run, and I will enjoy my time. I will just enjoy my time, and we will just do what we do. We will just see how it goes, and we will just live our life. And who knows, I might go there for a week and be like, it's not for me. I might go there and want to stay for 10 more years. I'm just going to call it by ear, live day by day. And who knows, I might say, screw it, I'm just going to stay in America forever. And then I'll live my life that way. We'll see. So, thank you guys for watching this long yapping session. But I just wanted to talk about some things I liked about Japan. And I'm excited to go there eventually, and I'm excited to continue my studies. I'll possibly make a video talking about my Japanese progression. But, in studying the language. Because I've been self-studying for like 4 months straight or something. Not crazy studying, like learning new words every day and this and that, but like just studying. So yeah, maybe I'll discuss that in another video. But either way, that was it. That was why I wouldn't mind living in Japan. 17-point bullet list, but you got it. All right, thank you. Jat ne.